that the...
Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode. This week I'm joined by my good buddy Jake Davis of Mid-South Guide Service. We're on world famous Lake Guntersville, mid-lake.
Yeah, we're mid-lake across from Roseberry.
We're looking for the frog bite, but I think the topwater bite and Texas Rig Plastics is the deal right now.
Topwater shad spawn is going on, so we got a little spinner bait, a little plastic bait, and we're gonna try some frog.
It's a late winter this year, and normally this time of year the frog bite's already hot.
Normally it's just hopping.
We just want to be the first ones to find it this year. So man, why don't you hop in the Triton? I'm gonna hop in the plastic and we race to the first fishing spot.
Oh, this would be good. I'm gonna run him over.
You know, if you're a shallow water sight casting frog fanatic like I am, there's probably one place that sticks out in your mind, that sticks out in your dreams and in your imagination like no other anywhere in the country for big old hogs on the frog, and that's Lake Guntersville, Alabama. Nice. That's good, that's good.
This lake is 69,000 acres and about 72 miles long. Starts at the Tennessee state line, stretches down into Alabama. The typical fish on Lake Guntersville is going to range anywhere from 2 to 4 pounds. That's going to be the vast majority of your fish. In the springtime when the spawn is going on, you're going to hear about a lot bigger fish. There is a lot of double-digit bass in here. If you just take your time, it just takes time on the water and luck of the throw. We've caught them in 6 inches of water here, and then we've caught them in 12 foot of water.
It's got water from 50 to 100 feet deep in the channels with big ships going through and big barges to 6-inch deep, 3-mile wide flats covered in lily pads. So Lake Guntersville to me is, if you took a computer program and you designed the perfect big bass factory, it'd be Lake Guntersville in Alabama. Nice.
Oh,
yeah. Nice. Nice.
there you go, folks. Another quality Guntersville frogfish. Early season, early June, it's starting.
Ken, I see it up in those pads. There it is. Oh, nothing like calling your fish. Love that. It's not a Guntersville monster, but it ain't no baby. That little dude right there. You know, there's nothing like calling your shot. And get a little bass, kind of hollow in the belly. That means we're at the beginning of the feeding time. They're just getting started. Get that guy back in the water. So let me show you what I'm using. on these kind of muggy mornings where it was a cool overnight, but it's the middle of the summer, and then you've got a high pressure system sitting on top of you, I kind of like to downsize my topwater presentation. I'm a big fan of like a zoom horny toad or cutting the legs on my power team conviction crawl and buzzing that across the surface. But on days like this, when it's really slicked out and there's good overcast, no wind, no current, I like to downsize it. What I'm doing right here is I'm buzzing a speed crawl. You know, most people will fish a speed crawl with a bullet weight Texas rigged, get it down bottom and fish it like a crawfish. I'm actually buzzing this like a frog. It's got the same feet as the horny toad, but they're supposed to be claws. Bass don't know that. So when it's really calm, slicked out, and especially when you got a high pressure system sitting on top of you, that subtle plastic buzz across the surface, they can't stand it.
Welcome back to Wilderness Systems Kayak Bassin'. This week, Chad Hoover's hooked up with Jake Davis of Mid-South Bass Guides. With Jake in his bass boat and Chad in his Commander 140 kayak, the guys are exploring the legendary bass-filled waters of Guntersville, Alabama.
So Jake Davis and I have been friends for almost a decade. Jake and I worked together at a lure company. Jake was the national sales manager. I was the pro staff director. We both did a lot of cool things at that company, got to know each other really well. And you know, with my busy schedule now and Jake guiding, you know, 200 to 300 days a year, it's hard to get together and fish with him. You know, when we're both retired military, which gives us kind of a shared bond, gives us something to kind of poke at each other about. And you know, I was Navy, so I went out there and did the tough job, and Jake was Air Force. They were last ones in and first ones out.
There she is.
Oh yeah.
Good fish.
Tore my thumb. Tore my thumb up. Oh, kidding me. Come here, girl.
Oh-ho!
Look at that thing. So, I saw all these fish scattering shad. So what I did was I figured if they're scattering shad, I'll throw the scatter shad. I put that Taylorman's Custom Lure scatter shad on, and that was about the third cast with it. I threw it along the edge of the pads. And these big fish, for whatever reason, are staging on the end. Talking about what we were talking about earlier with that reload. They're sitting with the sun to their back at a 45 and watching these shad come in off the river channel. And the boat action, with the boats going by and the wave action, has actually helped quite a bit. That's a really good fish right there.
With the year running so far behind in the cold weather we had, this shad spawn should have started about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
And it's just started this last week here. So normally it's over by now, and we're transitioned all the way out to the ledges and fishing nothing but ledges by now. Come here, Scooter.
I call those Sonny Bono bass because they like to ski.
One of the things I do, if you notice, the length of those legs right there, side by side, I've cut the legs off on this one about 3/4 of an inch each leg. That way when the bass grabs it, they got a better chance of getting the business end of it here and not just a wad of legs on it. So I always recommend cutting them off. The other thing you do is if you go down to local sporting goods store or Walmart or Dunham's or Hook One has them, right here is a little Arky rattle. Take that rattle, and before you tie that frog on, turn the hooks out like that. Take that rattle in that hook opening right there. Try not to hook yourself. And shove it in right behind that hook, right there, where that hole is. And then when you get inside there, turn it back over. Remember, the legs go inside the hook. And that way, when you throw it out there, you probably can't hear that, but it has a little rattle to it. And it gets just every extra little bit can help, especially when you're dealing with muddy water or stained water, or if the grass went later on in the year, the grass will come up and it'll look just like the top of this lily pad, all over through here, nice and thick, and that little extra help comes through that pad. There's your tip of the day: archy rattle and shorten the legs on your frogs.
You know, coming to Guntersville and not frog fishing would be like, you know, going to a NASCAR race and not drinking a beer. It just doesn't make any sense. So we waited until the time was right. We're actually still kind of early. The pads are just getting back up. The grass hasn't made it back up yet. And, you know, for me, there's no more awesome way to catch a fish than catching one on the frog. Sometimes it's hours of boredom, you know, interrupted by a momentary explosion. A lot of heartbreak involved when you miss them on the frog, but there's nothing better when that fish blows up and you see that big white mouth and the water looks like you dropped a bowling ball out of an airplane, and you do everything right. You drop your rod tip, you let them take it, you set the hook, you keep her head up, you converge on the fish with the kayak. There's nothing does it for me like that.
Welcome back to Wilderness Systems Kayak Bassin. This week, Chad Hoover is exploring Lake Guntersville, Alabama, with his longtime friend and Mid-South Bass guide, Jake Davis.
Here we go. Fish on. Come here, dude. Sometimes you gotta switch it up. Look at that little broke back dude. Cool. You know, when you love the lily pads and fishing vegetation, it's hard sometimes to switch it up, but there's no real action in the pads. Got these clouds rolling in. And so these fish started schooling up on the top out here. I pulled up the Lowrance, zoomed in, and kind of brought the screen up close to me so I could see what was going on. And there's a little ditch that runs out here and turns off of the main creek channel. So I figured it was worth exploring. We come out here through the Topwater about 10 or 15 times and couldn't even get them to look at it because they're out there chasing these shad. So what I did is I pitched this Missile Baits Da Bomb on the other side of it and let it fall through it and kind of worked it along the bottom. And I figured that there's some fish that are up there banging out the fish on the top, and then there's probably some that are hanging low. And first cast and got one of the low hanging fish.
There he is, right there. Got him.
Nice, nice, nice.
There we go. Frog again, folks. Right there. Nice, solid 3-pound fish.
Oh, yeah. So the fish were blowing up, and I hit the power pole, and of course I got on the downwind side, so my boat was swinging the wrong direction.